I mean, we might as well watch. Do you guys want to watch it? Let's watch the video. I'm curious. The Lazy Peons review of Dungeons & Dragons Online in 2020. I don't know what this is going to exactly entail, but we'll see. Yeah, well, let's watch it.
Dragons Online is a free-to-play fantasy MMORPG that initially released back in 2006.
Wow.
Since then, the game's had years worth of content updates, new dungeons, raids, stories, zones to explore, puzzles, and challenges.
Yeah, it has had
a
all of that,
somewhat recent addition to DDO a few years ago was its Hardcore League, which is basically a permadeath mode where you start fresh and try to progress as far as you can without dying for special rewards.
I wonder if he played it.
In this video, though, we're going to be revisiting the normal version of the game and see if anything has changed since the last time I played it, as well as see how well it holds up in 2022. But first...
So, important note, nothing has changed since the last time that he played it, because he played Korthos. So, what are you going to do?
Sponsor. Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr Ultimate Edition is now available on both Xbox Series XS and PlayStation 5. This epic Warhammer action RPG allows you to take on the role of Inquisitor, one of the most powerful agents of the Imperium, operating out of the Caligari sector,
it's gotta
a region overrun with heretics, mutants,
there's this 40k game coming out.
In this
There's that
game,
other
you'll be
40k game that came out.
Scourge either solo or with up to 4 friends, with local co-op also available on the console versions. Choose a playstyle that suits you for one of the game's 4 Inquisitor classes. Obtain powerful equipment, specialize your Inquisitor.
It looks like it's like almost Diablo adjacent,
possibilities,
but
as well as
with
enjoy
Warhammer,
4K
which is
support with high
I don't know if that makes sense in terms of the story. I don't really know much about Warhammer.
40k Inquisitor Martyr
it's
Ultimate
ARPG
Edition
Warhammer,
comes with 4 years worth of updates, with over 25 pieces of DLC.
I think
so if you're
the
a
thing
Warhammer
that gets me about when people do these sponsorships is this guy didn't play this game.
You've certainly got an adventure ahead of you. Click the link in the description below to buy Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr Ultimate Edition now, and jump into one of the most content-rich Warhammer RPGs ever made.
Okay, so this is like a gripe about just gamers in general, is that gamers have like the worst ad reads, where like they just straight up read the ad. They're like they get the script, and then they just read it. They put the video on, and then they go. You know what I mean? Whereas like I think about other content creators, so people that actually do like different types of like either commentary content or vlogging or things like that, where they have to like, not that they have to put creativity into it, but they're more used to kind of like production coming from, as opposed to the topic being the game itself. They have like more to think about, I guess, and you just get better ads. And I just find that interesting. Like almost every gamer that does like an ad, they just read the script.
Buy it now. Dungeons & Dragons Online in 2022. Let's jump into it. If I remember correctly, this game has a lot of different classes. So for melee, you've got the Fighter, Barbarian, Paladin, which comes in 2 forms, Paladin or Sacred Fist.
Oh, the new Sacred Fist. There we go. I forgot. Yeah.
Spellcasters, we've got the Sorcerer, Cleric, Dark Apostate, Wizard, Favored Soul, Druid, and the Warlock. Yeah. Specialist classes, Ranger, Rogue, Bard, which can also be a Storm Singer, Artifactor, which comes with a metal mech.
I love Artifactor. This one's good.
2 of these classes you need to pay money to unlock. You've also got iconic classes, which are
so it's true, and this is the hard part, is you don't need to pay money to unlock it, but you kind of do have to pay money to unlock it, because you can play the game without doing that, but you don't know that initially. So your first reaction is going to be like, oh, you have to pay for all of this stuff. And it's like
basically like hero
it's hard to
classes
explain,
which don't start at level 1. So you've got the Shadar Kai Assassin, Purple Dragon Knight, Morning Lord Cleric, the Blade Forged Paladin, the Deep Gnome, the Asimir Scourge, Tiefling Scoundrel, Razor
I don't know if there should be like a
Shifter,
separate section. I don't know, for like premium.
Trailblazer looks like a bit of a
Wukong
style character. You know, for once, let's be a paladin. I love the paladin archetype, but I never play paladins in my first impressions videos. It's paladin time. Aside from just
it's
being
one of the worst
we've got 3 different
first starter classes.
Flame of Justice, or
don't pick a base. Don't do it.
One's probably more
Please pick custom.
One's probably
Please
more
pick
support,
custom.
One's probably more DPS.
Pick custom.
I want to be an aggressive paladin.
No!
This game has a lot of races: Asimir, Dragonborn, Drow Elf, Dwarf, Elf, Core.
And this is one of the problems with this video game, is they have to delete them. All of the pre-builds are so bad. And it sucks because, like, I make builds for new players. I try to make things as easy to understand and simple as possible. And the pre-builds in that game are in Dungeons & Dragons Online are so horrific. And Saints Games hasn't fixed it because it's a huge task. But she should just delete them. It's way better than these consequences.
Can't be bothered to pronounce that. Wood elf, gnome, halfling, half elf, half orc, human, tabaxi, tiefling, shifter, warforged, male dwarf paladin. That's a good archetype. Find the biggest beard we can possibly have. This dwarf can have.
I forgot you don't get to choose anything.
Interesting. Big old eyebrows. I can't have the glasses. I don't know what it is, but a dwarf with glasses.
The 3 classes that are pre-made. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just start with basic pre-mades. Yeah, 100%. So it's easier to manage. It's a good idea. Just choose like a basic.
Eggplant. Bro, how is that name taken? Sausage Man Power. We have that name.
I wonder what server he's on.
What's wrong with me today? What a stupid fucking name. Alright, Sausage Man Power, level 1 paladin. He's in.
So the important thing about this video is we're like 4 minutes in, and MMORPGs need like 100 hours before you can give them a full review of the game. But the first impressions you don't. And DDO has, in my opinion, a bad first impression, but we're going to see. It reminds me of how, who was it? Like Josh Strife Hayes made a video about Lord of the Rings Online, and he gave a really good first impression of Lord of the Rings, which is funny because at the time that he made the video, the end game was in literal shambles. And yeah, it's an interesting contrast for MMORPGs.
In his rags, let's enter the world. Zoned into the worlds, and like many other MMORPGs, we have started shipwrecked on a shore. Why do I feel like such a giant dwarf in relation to this?
Although DDO is an old game, so it's okay to do that trope.
I look like an orc standing next to this guy.
Follow me.
Alright, lad, I'm gonna follow our little friend.
Come on, follow me.
Yes, I am following you. So smash open
Fees and retention, and retention is everything. 100%. I'm not saying it isn't important. It's very interesting. The experience is different.
Their camp. Open the inventory with I. Equip the sword. User interface extremely outdated. Smash every single crate and barrel we're going to come across for the rest of this video, because of course we are. Can I jump off here? No, invisible barrier. Hello, barrel. Thought you could escape me, did you? Really? You put a barrel all the way over here on this
That was
rock.
an odd bit of editing. There's like no other editing in the rest of the video.
And there was nothing in it.
Surprising amount of editing.
Maybe there's something secret up here.
I will not.
There actually is.
Important note, I don't watch the Lazy Peon. So I've seen a few videos. Content's fine. It's just as somebody who plays MMOs, I don't really watch a lot of like generic MMO stuff. It's the same thing. Like I don't really watch Josh Strife Hayes' videos because a lot of the stuff he talks about is like really surface level observations that if you spend a lot of time playing in the industry, or like playing the games and you think about them a little bit more critically, you'll have the same observations. So his content is really good for like mass audience. It's just not something I watch too much.
The developers seem to have recognized that it's fun to smash crates and get hidden treasure. I am the Paladin Sausage Man. A dragon attacks my ship. That's a great name. Sausage Man.
It is a good name. Yeah,
Maybe
he did a good job with that.
my name in every MMO going forward. Dungeons & Dragons, I think, was one of the first MMOs with climbable ladders. This game also has mantling, which even today isn't something that every MMO has. The movement feels fairly responsive.
Yeah, most MMOs don't have mantling.
General movement,
or like climbing on stuff.
Running around. Pretty cool start to the game, really. It kind of simulates a dungeon experience, but with NPCs, teaches you all the basic mechanics. It doesn't take long at all to get to the dungeon part of this Dungeons and Dragons game. Treasure chest or mimic treasure chest?
I wonder
if I
how
pay money I can re-roll loot. Interesting.
I wonder how he's going to react to
obviously a hidden passage
like Korthos and think that is the majority of the game, where adventure zones are such a small part of the game.
It's quite cool really that this game has the secret walls where you can search them and it's like a hidden path. It's kind of old school RPG, and not too many modern MMOs actually have that. Another player here, an Elven.
Because one of the best parts about being an old school RPG is that if you don't have the skills, you can't find stuff. So he's going to realize that with his one search for being a dwarf, he's not going to be able to find anything the rest of the entire game.
Archer, and here we've got another dwarf player. Looks like
that's pretty good.
Though. So that's nice to see. Even in the starting area, there are still people playing the game. To be honest, I didn't expect to see many other players. I just assumed everyone would be at end game or something.
Also, another fun fact, you can see the snow falling down because he's on snowy side of Korthos Island. He's only seeing new players that have recently installed it. So Korthos, unless he picked Wayfinder, the server that he's on is likely very, very full, right? So if he's on the sunny side, and for people that don't know, the starter zone, this campaign has their blizzard that rolled in, but like you can like, and it's meant to be like segmented off. You can skip the campaign section and still go to the same area, but it's like a different phasing of it. And yeah, everyone's on the other phase.
Next quest, enter the crypt. Talk to the crypt keeper. Desecrate the crypt even more. I'm sure that's going to give me some good karma.
Oh, he found his way through the secret door. Nice.
Yeah, fuck you, sarcophagus. I'm still paranoid from opening every single chest because
he didn't talk about the trap.
I played
That's interesting.
Neverwinter, and there was a mimic in that game that scared the shit out of me, and it's just made me paranoid of every chest in every game. Finish vandalizing the crypt.
Yep.
Rewarded with some copper. We also completed all the optional objectives, so now we're going to finish adventure, and that's going to recall us outside of the dungeon. Amulet of the Brute. Yeah, I look like more of a brute. Equip the amulet. We got some new robes.
Oh, the Amulet of the Brute is such a bad item. It is one of the few stats in the game that has a minus.
Cool effect on it as well.
And it used a chaos item, so he has a negative level. Oh, dude.
To have such a cool sword for the start of the game. Small brown spider, mate.
It is a cool sword, though.
Small brown spider. What's a big brown spider look like? Oh, should we do this mission in first person to help me get over my fear of spiders? Right, we're not scared of spiders. Look at it. Look at it, Craig. This is something that I always forget that Dungeons & Dragons Online has. Puzzles. I think
it has a lot of puzzles.
Last time I played it, it was something that really impressed me about the game because a lot of modern MMOs don't really have decent puzzles, and I don't really know why. Stuff like this definitely makes the game more engaging.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Yeah.
This, and we've lit up all of the corners. Puzzle complete. We can take the scroll. So now I'm level 1, rank 4. So the way this game's leveling system works is a little bit different to normal games, I guess. I wonder when I'm going to unlock some abilities. Perhaps I've already unlocked abilities.
Because no one teaches you about enhancement points. So I introduced a friend of mine to this game. The guy was playing Paladin. He got to level 4, and I gave him I sent him a build guide to follow, like something simple, like do this, then do this. Guy's level 4, and he's like, yeah, I have trouble fighting certain monsters. And I was like, oh, okay, well, did you, like, if you get surrounded, you can use like this, like exalted cleave or whatever. And then he goes, oh, I don't have that. I'm like, oh, did you spend your enhancement? And he goes, what are enhancements?
But the game hasn't notified me to put them on my hotbar. Bunch of XP, level 1, rank 5 now. Bags are getting nice and clogged.
It says on screen you have enhancement points to spend, but he doesn't know what that does.
+3 swim and +3 jump on it. It's quite random. You don't typically see stats like that in MMOs.
And you never will again.
Let's take the 200
That's a very unique weapon.
See if we can actually use it. I'm not entirely sure we can. Doesn't sound like much of a paladin weapon to me. Oh. Never mind. I'm a great axe-wielding paladin now. I just get a quest to open the store. Mate, really? You're going to give me a quest to open the DDO store, and you're going to take me to a web page? You haven't even got an in-game store. I hate it when MMOs do this. So
he doesn't have access to the in-game store. He's probably installing it through Steam, and Steam forces you to use the web browser as opposed to the in-game store. So that's another problem. Important note, the official wording from a word on the street from up on high is don't install through Steam, please.
And it looks like we're going to have a little puzzle. Twist the valve, and that's going to turn on the light. The valve here. Both valves,
which is basically
the lights are on.
It makes them too much money to like get it off of Steam, but also they would prefer people use the standalone because it's a better client.
You hear a rumble from a larger room. Oh, wait, maybe it's actually in here. So if we close the door, that trap's going to stop being annoying. Hit the valve. Do it again. Do it again. Try hitting the gong. Okay. Second strike cracks ice. Oh, okay. Quite a cool little puzzle, really. Operate the lever, get ambushed. I appreciate that even though I'm early in the game, I've already encountered a puzzle that kind of stumps me for a little bit. It doesn't take too long until you get to the point where you feel like you need to use your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing I appreciate about this game is that it makes you want to explore every inch of a dungeon. Like maybe there's a hidden room or some...
Yeah, until you play with another human being, at which point everyone is holding down the W key and exploring gets a little harder.
Treasure or something. It's quite cool.
But it is cool. I totally agree with this statement. Like, that's one of my favorite parts.
Rank 6. Some of these early puzzles, surprisingly engaging.
That's actually one of the reasons why I've said this before. Like whenever a new quest comes out, I always play it 100% solo because I love the experience of just like doing it all myself and experiencing all the new stuff, because they throw in puzzles and secrets and all this dialogue and funny characters and all this other stuff. But doing it with another human being means it's way less fun.
I can't even imagine how complex they're going to get later on into the game with some of the end game content. So as a...
I wish you could just give him like a god character, but just throw him at some of the later puzzles like Monastery of the Scorpion.
Dwarf, it seems like the game's going to give me clues as to where there's hidden pathways. That's pretty cool. If I remember correctly, the last time I played this game, I didn't have such clues. So I guess this might be one of my ratios.
We beat them off.
Wait, we what? That didn't sound right. As far as
everyone has the same experience. Bro,
goes,
he's still level 1. No.
The game is really good. It very quickly engages your brain early into the game.
Yep.
It has you fully exploring things and paying attention to your environment. Yes, early on the combat is absolutely basic, just spamming left click, clicking things down. But it's the environment and the interacting with the story and the puzzles
which
that
is true.
Engaged. I can't
100%.
really think of any other modern MMOs that's given me that same feeling. When I logged into there, I got a little notification saying that I've got points to spend. So let's do that. This game
we played a little bit, yeah.
Talent tree. You've got tons of different things here that you can spec into. You've got your race talent tree, Slayer of Evil. That sounds good. I've spent all my points. I've specced into like 3 different trees.
Oh no, not the Vanguard without the shield, dude.
I don't think we need optimal. Into the next dungeon.
And you're still level 1, you gotta level up.
That's pretty cool. I like that the dungeons in this game have like optional objectives where you can get bonus loot in these treasure chests for fully exploring the dungeon. I didn't find the key required to open this door whilst playing this, so I guess it pays to fully explore your surroundings in this game. That's cool. So if you fall off a ledge like this, you can like hang and pull yourself up.
Oh, climb across,
really
dude.
Cool thing to have for such an old MMO. So many modern MMOs don't even have this.
Is he gonna go all the way around?
World of Warcraft never.
Oh, he went down.
Like
he must have fallen.
Example. Into the next dungeon.
Damn, he didn't find the skeleton.
Ooh, is there going to be a dragon inside this one?
Come, there isn't much time.
Oh, some voice acting on this one.
The game does give you a hint. I don't know if you turn them off. The game does give you a hint to tell you to level up.
So far, lever number 1, lever number 2. If I jump, will I die? No.
Yes.
Not just die, but super die. Minus 55 HP. You may revive in any of the ways. Except a resurrection. Okay, can't do that. Spirit cake from the store. Surely the game's given me a spirit cake as a new player. Spirit cake. Okay, there it is.
Oh, wait. Right, he used the spirit cake?
Don't jump from great heights. You will die. Descending deeper and deeper.
Oh, no.
There he is. I mean, that's what Dungeons and Dragons is all about. Finding a dragon inside of a dungeon. Wait, I actually don't think that I get to fight it. My friends are fighting it. I think I need to find an artifact. So they're all having fun fighting a dragon, and they've just sent me off to look for an artifact. It's an important job, but it's not the glory that I was looking for. The ground quivers, you see.
Yeah, it's because you're level. It's because he's level 1.
Oh wait. You can actually see the dragon from beneath the ice. That's really cool.
That is also really cool.
There's the dragon. Are we going to take it?
You know what's funny about that scene is that there was like a 3-year period where because of a graphical glitch with like how the shadows applied, the floor was not see-through for like 3 years. It's fixed now, but it was like that for a while.
Come on, wait for the opportunity to strike. At last, okay, so this is the artifact that I've been looking for. Lots of treasure around the room as well. Classic fantasy dragon. The dragon is locked in a contest of wills, so now I can smash the crystal. Dragon reasserts its will and looks very annoyed. I can see that. Oh, and he's dead. Okay, me up with the party. We all good, lads? Quest complete. That was the longest quest I've had so far. Pretty cool. So now we've finally made it to the next zone. Tons of quests.
Is it Grafton's
tons
Harbor?
Of vendors. Yeah. Let's see if there's any other players. Yes, indeed, there are other players. Beautiful elven woman over here with a water baby. Ah, we got another player here, and this one has a mount. Level 21. This dwarf looks fairly end game in terms of his armor. It looks like a dwarven version
armor's
of
so
the Lich
cool.
King,
I love that armor.
especially with those skulls on his boots. Okay, this is probably the coolest player I've seen.
Also, interestingly enough, that I'm noticing is the game graphics actually don't look this bad. He's playing on like medium or something. He probably had like a couple of frame rate issues or something, but the ground texturing is actually not that bad. So he must have the textures
you look like
not fully
pure
turned up.
evil energy. Another player, level 5. Yeah, this seems to be the main city where everyone's hanging out.
Oh, and he has names turned
These are
off.
bigger spiders than the one we've dealt with in the beginning of the game.
Oh, and it's the side area for Kobold Ringleader.
I'm not a fan of this. They've heavily infested the area of the height. Don't use the word infested. No one wants to read the word infested. I've never read the word infested and felt happy.
Oh, I mean, does he have DM text turned off? I didn't hear it.
Fantasy worlds actually existed. Like when I was younger, I really wished that I could be in the world of Harry Potter. I was absolutely obsessed with it. But if you take more than 5 minutes to think about it, in all fantasy universes, giant ass spiders like that actually exist.
Oh yeah.
I think that's got to be a nope. Even if magic is real, And you can really be a wizard. I think I'm going to have to pass. You flinch as an Oh, God. The reading distracted me from looking for traps. Brilliant. Big old brown spider. It's not where I want to be, is it? Just run.
Does he have like the DM text turned off? I'm confused because I don't hear it. I guess he's just reading. He's like talking over top of it, so he might not notice.
That'll burn the spider, surely. We good? Do you ever wonder what insects used to look like during the prehistoric ages? Did giant arachnids used to exist, for example? Food for thought. Another question for anyone who's made it this far in the video. If dragons genuinely existed, do you think humans would be extinct, or do you really think we would have found a way to deal with them? I'm not sure why I'm wondering.
Dragons' main weakness is that there's just not many of them. They're very long lived and they don't recreate very often, procreate. So like, yeah, even if like it takes 100 people to take down one dragon, you make more people faster than dragons make dragons, unless they go out of their way. And dragons are self-interested, so I don't think it would be a problem.
All of these strange things today. You must now find a class trainer and improve your skills. Right. Advance to the next level as a paladin. Paladin feats. That's going to give me some abilities. Lay on hands and divine grace. Okay. And now I've got 4 more action points to spend. Okay, that makes sense. I'm starting to understand now. Played a bit on the dwarf. Let's go try out one of these special characters. Right, so next we're going to create an iconic character. And the one that I've got unlocked is the Asimir Scourge. Looks
Is Asimir Scourge
cool.
free? Why does he have that?
I've just started my character. I don't know what half of these things do. Now I need to pick my feats. So these iconic characters have a lot more things you can customize when you start them, it seems. Can I just choose a recommended path? With all of these options I've been given, I don't think these iconic classes are really
yes, Ravenloft. I gotcha.
Instantly overwhelming. Favored enemy, Reptilian. All right, there's my Asimir.
Oh, we took toughness. Good choice.
Groundwater collector. Out of all the MMOs I've done first impressions on, the names that I've come up with in this one are probably some of the worst in all of my years on YouTube.
It's so weird to watch a YouTube video that has 42,000 views and hear that music. It's very bizarre.
Level 1.
And also, I don't think SSG hooked him up with a code. Just checking. There's nothing here. Gameplay experience and rich, beautiful world and all that.
Let's go. So I've started as a level 1 in some kind of inn. Right hook, left hook, kick him in the balls. My dude's had a few lessons of Muay Thai, it seems. Talk to Budget Gandalf. Accept Ranger training. So 4 action points to spend.
Elminster is Budget Gandalf, isn't he?
Starting out on one of these characters is pretty confusing. Like,
he's got magical training. There you go. Get some good feats in there.
An iconic character. Advance to level 15, leave the garret. Can you just make me level 15 without me needing to do all of this every time? It's a bit of a ball ache. If I just leave, am I going to be level 4, or will that be like a quick way of getting to level 15? That's going to take like 30 minutes otherwise.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I need to manually get to level 15.
And he has no idea how.
To him for about 30 minutes and choosing my abilities. It's kind of sapped my willpower to play, honestly. I'm going to wrap up the video here. I'm not going to understand what I'm doing. Jumping on a max level character for this game. Too confusing.
No comment.
For me as a new player, there's a metric crap ton of abilities. I'm going to need hotbars on hotbars. It's going to take like an hour to set up. These iconic characters, clearly just not meant for new players. So after revisiting Dungeons & Dragons Online in 2022, my thoughts are as follows.
Well,
the main
iconics
thing
also
the
aren't
game's
free.
known for, its dungeons with multiple different pathways, hidden treasure, and puzzles to solve, still holds up pretty well as a fun, engaging experience. I find it surprising that after all these years, there isn't really another MMO that has dungeons that feel the same as DDO. The game has a ton of options.
I will say is interesting because it's very true. There's basically no other games that do what DDO does. You will see people make claims that that's like that, but there isn't. And there's a bunch of reasons. And one of the main reasons is that DDO is not really super profitable. It doesn't have a wide audience. So people don't look at it and go, we should do that.
Comes to race and class choice, with racials actually being quite impactful.
They are very impactful.
The game's free to play. Quests have failure states to them, which for some MMOs isn't always the case. The game's been out a long time, so there's years worth of content to work through.
Oh yeah.
The game does still maintain a small dedicated player base. There's hardcore permadeath leagues for players that want to challenge themselves. And I like how the main story is narrated with text and voiceover in places. The user interface.
I'm surprised he didn't mention also as a pro that the game is being actively developed. I know a lot of people, when they come to a dead game, or like an older game, they assume it's in maintenance mode, but the game is still getting regular updates. So It's another
Face is
thing.
extremely outdated. This is something you'll notice immediately as you open your character sheets and inventory. If you're really bad at the game, you're going to need to spend money to resurrect or start long missions again. This might rub some people up the wrong way. For the first few hours of gameplay, you're basically just left-clicking every single mob down with no need to use abilities.
Going to be largely true.
As a new player, opening up the talent tree was very overwhelming. Some
100%.
players might like this, whilst others are just going to Google viable builds. And as you'd expect from such an old game, visually it's quite outdated by today's standards.
He also has Bloom turned on, so I can't blame him.
I think it's time we got a modern version of Dungeons & Dragons Online. It's a beloved IP, and the dungeons, narrative, and questing feel quite unique. The game's clearly well designed, otherwise it wouldn't still exist after all these years. For me personally though, it's just a bit too outdated, and something about the audio makes me feel sleepy at times. A great game to relax with, or to play before bed as a cure for insomnia. But that's it for this.
I will say that obviously no one's going to remake this game because it's too expensive. So DDO is just going to update the visuals and stuff over time. But the comment that he made about like the fact that sometimes it feels sleepy, that's because Dungeons & Dragons Online in the early game was all atmospheric music. So in the later areas, pretty much any of the new expansions, they have very like themed oriented music. There's a lot more energy usually in charge in each of the songs. But in the beginning on the release, so all the Harbor quests and also in Korthos Island, the music was very much meant to be just like cave sounds as opposed to actual music. So that kind of like, I can see where that comes from because it was meant to be just background. It's one of the reasons why, even though, you know, I like a lot of the songs in DDO and a lot of the music, I almost always just listen to my own music because like I don't need to hear the sounds
this
of
video,
the harbor.
guys. As always, let me know your thoughts on Dungeons & Dragons Online in the comments below. And would you like to see a modern take on this game? Would Dungeons & Dragons Online 2 be something you'd be interested in? Help support the channel by praising the algorithm gods with the like button. Social media on screen.
Yeah. Go click his shit. All right, I'm going to read some comments now. Return of Reckoning is incredible, Peon. Thank you so much for introducing myself and others to it. That's a different game. I remember playing this a decade ago. Glad you're trying it out. One of my favorite things is narration. Yeah, it's good. I love the character customization. It's great. I've been dreaming the day that DDO 2 will be announced. Yeah, that'd be cool. This game review and commentary with such weird-ass questions is a gem I didn't know I needed. You made me start playing. Yay! The dungeons are cool. Great video. Would love to see you and Josh Strife play through these old games together. I think just because they're British people doesn't mean they need to hang out. But maybe they can hang out. I don't know how far away that is. Like, you know, it's probably like an hour drive or something. I actually love games where you start with an actual pleb who barely has any abilities. It's way more emerging. I hate it. Modern MMOs are basically spawned to a full war zone at level 1. You're the hero to the end starting zone war. Very true. That is something that's very different about DDO. You are not the hero. You are helping people be the hero, and you become the hero over time, which is very true. He lives in Thailand? Oh shit, that's really far away. Complex character builder. The puzzles are insane. Oh hell yeah, I would love it. I've never played it, but I played D&D, and I think the complex system allows some awesome adventuring. Just go play it, it's free. You're struggling in the pit dungeon for 15 years. I still have a nightmare. I love the pit. Good dungeon. It's a lot of just like, you know, talking about stuff. That being said, mainly it's for playing with friends. Let's do it with the reincarnation system. Person who's played longer is superbly more powerful than a new player. Also experience. I would argue that experience, that's not the context, but knowledge is the most important thing. Is Australian? Whatever, Australian, British, same thing. They're like discount British. They're like the ones they didn't want. They sent them to an island with scorpions. Really interesting watching. Critiquing this as a view, it must be noted that there's such a depth of progression and learning in this game that you really didn't nearly spend enough time to give it a meaningful review. It really changes to get higher levels and advance into new elements of the game, which are massively changed. Used to play the game, but haven't for years. Because of unplayable lag and issues, item cache would be lost when you TR'd. That doesn't happen anymore, unfortunately. And it does happen to some people so rarely, but apparently they can fix it relatively regularly. But yeah, it's interesting. It's one of the problems with the with like an MMORPG review, because obviously he talked about like what's the game like in 2022 and the pros and cons. But like as somebody who knows the game, the guy played Korthos, so his first impressions are not invalid. They're very valid because those are the experiences that he had. Watching him not spend the enhancement points because he didn't know, because the game doesn't telegraph that. Watching him not level up because modern games don't ask you to go to trainers, so why would there be an expectation that you have to do that in an older game? Like you just you have to actively think about that. You have to remember that that was a mechanic that we used to have, and DDO still has it, obviously, for a good reason, because of multiclassing. Which is like, some people might be like, why do you have to go to a trainer to level up? And it's because of multiclassing. So you can choose how you want to level up. But a lot of the stuff that, you know, he was talking about, it's actually amazing. He picked, like, you know, in this experience, he set himself up in a situation where he basically couldn't fail with like his dwarven build, so he could have fun just walking around. But also, by the same token, because he didn't have the knowledge of like how to spend his points or to level up or do all these other things, it felt more boring. And then when he clicked the iconic, because he had it access for free, he must have gotten Raveloft or something, bought it for 99 points during like the free code or some shit like that, so he had access to it. Obviously the iconics just shove you all the way up to level 15, so that didn't really work at all either. End of the day, I am curious if this is going to have a noticeable effect on the DDO population. I'm also curious if it's going to have effect on my video views, so we'll see. Had a way worse experience? Oh, it'd be totally different, especially starting as like a melee. End of the day, interesting video. I'm probably going to leave a comment later when I have like a more clear head. But yeah. It's just, again, it's one of those things where like, it's the hardest part about MMO reviewers, right? Where like, I don't think his content is bad in any capacity.
Just over 2.
Shut the hell up. But when you look at like, you know, first impressions of like different products, so he's got like first impression videos of like all these different things. The problem with this is like, the first impressions of an MMORPG are really important, but also most MMORPGs are very different between the first hour and like the 30th hour. Whereas a lot of games like Diablo never changes. The first hour of Diablo is the same thing as the rest of it, right? So, but MMORPGs are not like that. And so it's very difficult to, yeah, it gives like, it gives views and stuff, and it is important, right? I think it's more important for like a game designer, somebody who like actually makes the MMO, to watch this video and be like, okay, this is what somebody noticed. This is what people are going to see on YouTube. And when they look up, you know, first impressions or whatever, so this is what they're going to find, or this is what they might experience themselves. But as an actual consumer, it's really not that very helpful. It's basically just letting people know that this is a video game that they didn't know about. I would imagine that's probably the biggest impact, is that there's going to be people who go, oh, I didn't know there was a Dungeons & Dragons Online, and then they start playing it. So that's pretty much the experience there. But yeah, look at that, farming out views. Just video game title in 2022. Shit, dude. That's a good idea. That's a farm. You know, I'm farming out here. I'm out here farming freaking Uber keys when I should be farming views by making content where I just get to describe my experiences with something, but then I can't really make a lot of comparisons, and my biggest insight is they should make a new one. Oh man. Anyways, it's all neither here nor there.